Epictetus once said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listening is a foundational skill to public speaking, and one that I had a lot of trouble with in my early days because I love to talk a lot. If you're able to listen compassionately and attentively to your audience, you'll be able to understand their needs and wants at a level that almost nobody can. And that's exactly why in this week's episode of Master Talk, I'm going to be showing you 3 simple tricks to master listening. Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Brendan from Master Talk here, your go-to channel to mastering your talk. And today we're covering the art of listening and how you can master it. So let's get into it. Number 1, put yourself in a position where you couldn't reply even if you wanted to. The beauty of conversation is that you can discuss with other people. But the challenge of it at the same time is that we always want to think about something to say while the other person is talking. So let's say Jake, Paul, and Brendan are having a conversation. All 3 of these individuals are talking, but at the same time, we're having trouble listening to each other because we want to add value to the conversation. And that's why podcasts are such a beautiful thing. The reason I mastered listening is I would spend 2 hours every single day listening to other people. So let's say I'm listening to a podcast of an interview. Even if I wanted to reply to them or add my take on things, I can't because it's a conversation that happened in the past. And by listening and forcing yourself to listen to conversations that you have no ability to respond to, it forces you to stay attentive, to take notes, to pay attention, and over many hours of doing this, master listening at a level almost nobody can because you're spending so many hours a day forcing yourself to listen to a conversation that you can't reply to. So master the podcast, and you might just be able to master your talk as well. Number 2, grab coffees with interesting people and ask them interesting questions. When you go up to someone and you ask them how they're doing, you might be interested in the answer, but you probably already know what they're going to say. Good, what about you? I always say to my students that the best way to listen is to ask questions you actually want an answer to. Questions that maybe people don't really ask each other, but questions that you're dying to get the answer to. Here's a good example of that. If you were to have dinner with anybody in the world, who would you have dinner with? And more specifically, what would you ask that person that you can't read in a book or watch in one of their videos? Now the answer that you might get might be a bit more interesting, and you might be a bit more keen to listen to it. Here's another good example. If you had all the money in the world, how would you be spending your time? Would you just travel all the time? What time would you wake up? What time would you go to bed? And also, if you had all the money in the world, what problem would you solve in the world? All of these questions that I love asking people makes me more attentive. And I might even add that in some situations, I even take notes as somebody else is talking, even if it's just a casual dinner with a friend, because I'm just so curious to get the information that they have for me. So in that way, as long as you never forget that interesting conversations always stem from interesting people, and that interesting people are always individuals that you want to listen to more, then you might just be able to master listening skills and then use that for any presentation that you want to conquer. Number 3, play the name game. So many people come up to me and say, Brendan, I have so much trouble remembering names. That is so not true, people. The reality is, you don't remember people's names because you don't care enough about them. If you meet someone that you find really attractive or someone that you really want to know, you are going to do whatever it takes to remember their name. That's why as practice, whether I'm at a cocktail or more importantly in presentations, I always make a point to ask for people's names during the presentation. And this helps me not only build a relationship with them, but also make myself more likable as a speaker. I'll give you a great example. I once gave a presentation to a group of young female entrepreneurs between the ages of 12 and 18. And there was this girl named Julia that I had built a relationship with during the presentation. Because nobody else was participating in the workshop and I had trouble getting everyone else's energy levels high. So when Julia raised her hand and said, let me participate. I immediately asked her for a name, and then I played off of her the entire presentation. So let's say I made a joke, and I would say something like, well, Julia would probably find this boring, but it's still probably worth mentioning. And everyone would start laughing, and I would build a relationship with them. And the point is simple. If you practice the name game, A, it helps you build a better relationship with your audience, and B, it helps you listen more. Because if you're paying attention to people's names, you'll be able to get one step closer to remembering everything else that they say in the conversation. Remember, everyone, as Epictetus once said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a good reason, so that we can listen more than we speak. Listening is a crucial skill, not just in presentations, so that you can understand your audience in a way no one else can, but also in all areas of your life. Whether it's a significant other that you're making feel special that day, whether it's a cashier that you're talking to make them feel a bit more important and special, or whether it's anything in general, like building a YouTube channel. When I started, I probably had 10 video ideas, but as I was listening to everyone and what they wanted in my channel, then I started accumulating hundreds of ideas. So master listening, master your talk, and master every area of your life with the magical ability of listening. As always, if you enjoyed this week's episode of Master Talk, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well to see more videos like this. And if you know one person that doesn't listen to you, send them this video so that they might be able to get better at listening. Take care, everyone, and see you next time on Master Talk.